Their hearts and minds are now at ease now that the man they say is responsible for their loved one's death will never experience life outside prison bars ever again.
That's why Judge Samuel Mays gave Craig Petties not 1, but 9 life sentences.
South Memphis, 1976. Riverside Projects. The kind of place where blues was born from pain and barbecue. Smoke couldn't mask the smell of poverty. This is where Craig Petties entered the world on December 11th. His mama, Evergene, was pulling $15,000 a year as a foster parent. His father Ghost just another statistic in a neighborhood full of them. But here's what nobody saw coming. This kid from the projects would become the first black American to sit at the Mexican cartel's table. Not as a runner, not as a middleman, but as a partner and equal. They called him Lil C on the streets, short for his name, shorter for his height. By 14, he was already in the game moving nickel bags when crack dominated and Memphis was just another dot on the map.
Craig Petties, one of the largest suppliers of cocaine and marijuana to Memphis and other cities across the country. He shipped millions of dollars worth of drugs from Mexico for years.
Nobody was checking for Memphis as a major hub. That blindness would become his biggest advantage. First arrest came at 15. Most kids getting caught would have scared straight, not Petties. He saw it as tuition, education, and how not to get caught. The streets were teaching him something school never could: how to turn invisibility into power. The real education came in 1995. Petties was 18 when a locked-up dealer's Chevy Lumina sat impounded with $500,000 hidden in a secret compartment. His cousin Antonio Allen needed someone to retrieve it. Petties was small enough, smart enough, and hungry enough to pull it off. That night he scaled the fence, broke into the car, and found the money. Instead of delivering it back, he and Allen double-crossed the owner. Petties walked away with 50 grand as his seed money. Some moves save you, some moves end it all. This one built an empire. By 1999, Petties flipped that 50,000 into something real. Bought a house in Hickory Hill, Memphis suburbs. 185,000 cash, paid off quick. Not flashy, just enough to look legitimate. While other dealers bought chains and cars, Petties was building infrastructure. He studied the game, built a cell-based organization, encrypted phones, stash houses spread across state lines. This wasn't street hustling anymore. This was corporate America with cocaine instead of coffee. Between 1995 and 2001, Petties built something Memphis had never seen. The city sat perfect on the map, straight shot to Atlanta, Houston, St. Louis, Nashville. While the feds were watching Miami and LA, Petties was turning Memphis into the Underground Railroad for cocaine. By 2001, word reached La Barbie, Edgar Valdez Villarreal, one of the only Americans in cartel leadership.
For a story that sounds straight out of the Netflix Narco, a notorious drug lord known for decapitating his victims is seemingly missing from federal custody. They call him La Barbie. He's not supposed to be released from prison until 2056, but he suddenly vanished from the federal database. Now Mexico is demanding answers as rumors swirl from a medical emergency to witness protection. Joining me now, former acting ICE director and Fox News contributor Tom Holman. Now, Tom, you've been in law enforcement for a long time. You understand what it means to protect the case as well. What do you see playing out?
Well, look, like you said, he, not only is he the top lieutenant in Sinaloa Cartel, he worked for El Chapo, but he was an assassin, he was a hitman. He killed dozens of people, but just not kill them, he'd torture them, he'd film it, he'd torture them and behead them and film the whole thing. This man's just a nasty person. But look, he's not walking the streets of this country. He didn't escape.
The meeting went down in Mexico. A black kid from Memphis sitting across from La Barbie. La Barbie ran the Beltran Leyva U.S. operations. Petties ran Memphis and beyond. What they built together became legendary. The cartels could move product to the border, but distribution in the South was fragmented. Petties had already solved that problem. 8 states under his control. The partnership was sealed. Craig Petties became the first documented black American accepted at the highest levels of a major Mexican cartel. The cartel set him up in Mexico with guards, chef, maid, nanny, driver. Back in Memphis, the machine kept running. The Lewis brothers handled enforcement and distribution. Clarence Brody ran logistics. Demetrius Fields the money. Prosecutors later said millions of dollars every week. Shipments up to 5,500 pounds worth $50 million. Not drug dealing, nation-state level trafficking. Petties proved organization beats muscle, intelligence beats violence, reliability beats everything. But dark power requires protection, and that meant blood. Marcus Turner was tortured before being killed for stealing. Mario McNeil shot in a restaurant after threatening Petties' mother. Mario Stewart gunned down for cooperating with the feds. And Antonio Allen, his own cousin, killed after turning informant. By 2002, Petties had ordered at least 6 murders. Prosecutors called him destroyer of lives. The fear was suffocating. People gave up territory without a fight. Even his house in Hickory Hill was camouflage. To neighbors, he looked ordinary while ordering executions. Memphis had become his kingdom of fear. But kingdoms built on blood always fall. Each murder created more witnesses. 2002 ended with federal indictments. Petties made a calculated move. Mexico wasn't hiding. It was relocating corporate headquarters. He continued running the empire from thousands of miles away. Satellite phones, coded messages, remote control. In 2004, the U.S. Marshals added him to their 15 most wanted list.
Death row, then sent him home.
His last stop, Memphis, Tennessee, his hometown, and the place where authorities say he began his climb to the top of the drug trade. You can see heavily armed agents surrounding him as he's put in the back of an armored vehicle. From the private airfield, he's driven to federal court, a place authorities have been trying to get him for years.
6 years he lived untouchable in Mexico, protected by cartel and military. January 10th, 2008, helicopters over Querétaro. Mexican federal troops surrounded his house. No shots fired. Petties went quietly. Meanwhile, his organization collapsed from within as lieutenants flipped. Childhood friends testified. Drivers mapped routes. Money men revealed stash houses. The extradition was fast. Within days, Petties was on U.S. soil facing a 50-count indictment. December 2009, he pleaded guilty to 19 charges.
There's no question that this is the most notorious, violent, most reprehensible drug trafficking organization that this community throughout West.
The DA, Memphis Police, the U.S. District Attorney's Office, and countless of other law enforcement agencies worked on bringing down the drug lord for more than a decade. Pettis pleaded guilty in Memphis in 2009. 40 people who worked for Pettis have already been sentenced. Today, the drug lord got his day in federal court.
August 2013, Judge Samuel H. Mays Jr. sentenced him to 9 life sentences.
For the first time, members of a DEA task force are speaking about the investigation and capture of one of the most dangerous men Memphis has ever known. This man, a drug dealer with ties to Mexican cartels.
His name is Craig Petties. A lot of you are going, oh yeah. He's serving 9 life sentences in the federal pen for murder, conspiracy, drug trafficking, bunch of charges.
The judge called him a merchant of death, a cancer on the community. Operation Petticoat's final tally, 40+ convictions, including his lieutenants Clinton and Martin Lewis, with life sentences.
The U.S. attorney called the Craig Pettis gang a cancer to the community and hopes this guilty verdict will bring some closure to the victims' families. A big victory for federal, state, and local cops. After 6 weeks of trial and nearly 5 hours deliberating, a jury found Clinton and Martin Lewis guilty on all charges except for the murder of Marcus Turner. The gang ran a multi-million-dollar business of distributing cocaine in the Mid-South, North and South Carolinas, Florida, and Mexico.
This organization and the criminal acts that were committed by this enterprise were nothing less than a cancer to this community, and a cancer that spread throughout not only this area of West Tennessee, but throughout this region.
But 8 years for sure, fully concentrating on Craig Pettis and his operation. Now we're talking about a very dangerous man, Craig Pettis. Now this DEA task force leader went into detail as to how much Craig Pettis would pay to have someone killed, and goes into detail as to how taking Pettis off the streets interrupted an international drug trafficking operation.
For those who don't know, many remember this man as the biggest drug lord in America at one time.
And he took that route that a lot of these guys do, and became one of the biggest drug dealers connected to that cartel in Mexico.
His name is Craig Petties. Former DEA agent Abe Collins says at one point in time, he was the biggest drug trafficker in America, based right here in Memphis.
2001 is when I began the investigation on realizing how big, significant of a target he was in this area from all the intel that we was getting.
The power vacuum hit Memphis fast. Murder rates spiked. The drug trade fragmented into smaller crews. No one ever matched Petty's scale. Cartels never trusted one central figure again. Memphis changed forever. Today, Petty sits in federal prison, his location undisclosed. He works in the library teaching literacy. The man who once ran a multi-state empire now helps inmates write letters home. But his name lives on in DEA training manuals, in Memphis rap, and in the shadow of his famous half-brother, DJ Paul of 3-6 Mafia. Craig Petty's story is not glorification but understanding. How a kid from Riverside became an international drug lord. How brilliance without boundaries becomes destruction. He didn't lose because he was weak. He lost because the game is rigged. In this game, you either die or go to prison. Petty's chose prison, 9 life sentences worth. Others choose bullets. Same ending, different delivery. From Riverside to riches to ruin. From Memphis to Mexico to maximum security. From Kingpin to cautionary tale. The first black American at the cartel table. The last of his kind. Not because others can't, but because his example shows why they shouldn't. Nobody wins. The game always collects. That's the truth. That's all.